Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at ICP then. I know we're going to have to keep looking at it because despite what people might think, it's actually doing pretty well. I mean, this has been in a consistent uptrend since its low was formed 20th December. We're coming up to now, I suppose, from its absolute low to its absolute peak. 90%, it's not too bad, you know, and again, this is versus Bitcoin. So those who would have bought Bitcoin in 20th of December or bought ICP 20th of December, you would have almost doubled the amount of Bitcoin that you owned. Not that I did that, obviously, but I had been dollar cost averaging on the way down because I was pretty confident that this had bottomed. I was confident that it had bottomed around this area, though, I have to say, and then we broke down the trend line and we've moved back up. So overall, even the worst buys that I put in are in profit now. Again, this is versus Sats. I'm trading this with Sats because I'm just looking to increase the amount of Bitcoin that I own using altcoins. So it's all about trading Sats for me. So this is why we're referring to this, and we should also, you know, like I said on the live stream last night, or I suppose if you watch my videos since mid-year, really, I was saying we should really focus primarily on trading Sats and Bitcoin pairs because we want to see who's strong versus Bitcoin or what's weak versus Bitcoin. That way you really know how exposed you are to the market, because obviously if Bitcoin comes down, it brings everything down with it. We all know that, but there are some, I suppose, exceptions to the rule, ICP being one of them. So yeah, we got the big drive up. That was all based on the 4 hourly and on the 12 hourly, and these are all in very significant uptrends, right? It doesn't mean that we can't come down. We have to obviously move up and down. It's like, think about it like breathing. Any uptrend should go up and down and up and down. And if there's ever a point where it goes parabolic and there's no down, then it's usually a sign that a correction is due. We're not really seeing that here. The 4 area looks pretty sweet, to be honest with you. Trending up. It's a little messy on these pullbacks, but that's also because Bitcoin is pulling the market down even more. So if you imagine what this would be like if Bitcoin was to be static or even just healthy, this would be a lot more consistent with the way that it matches the moving averages. But so far so good, and most of the time it's holding the 10 exponential, so it really does have power. The only problem is that when Bitcoin has a sizable pullback, it drags this down even more. So it's definitely still vulnerable to Bitcoin's overall trend, but it's being picked straight back up and continuing to make higher highs and higher lows on the 4 hourly, 12 hourly, and on the daily. So today, yesterday, and a couple of the last the last 2 days now, we're talking a 12 hourly chart here, closing above a 200 exponential moving average on the 12 hourly. It's the first time it's ever really done it, to be honest with you. The chart isn't very old, and so we don't really have many of these moving averages of any significance on the higher term time frames, but this is the first time we've really closed above it, so it is looking for a real change of behavior. And you can see on the 12 hourly here, and again, we don't normally look at 12 hourlies, but it's only because the ICP chart isn't very old that we're kind of looking at it. On the 12 hourly, it is a lot neater, holding on the 10 exponential for the most part, really. So it is volatile, definitely, but there is rhythm to this, and it is moving. It's going to be a long way before this goes into a more significant, long-standing uptrend, but so far so good. It's looking pretty sweet, I have to say. Again, we are still, as far as moving averages is concerned, kind of upside down in a way. So we got the 200, then the 10, then the 21, the 20, and the 50, and then the 50. So they're all kind of not in exactly the right place if you want a more long-standing, consistent uptrend. But that doesn't mean you won't get one. It just means that when it comes to a balance on this one, it doesn't look like the 4 hourly. This is what you want to see. You want to see the 4 hourly. You see how we've got a nice, I call them a rainbow spread. So we've got the moving averages in exactly the right place. And because it's a 4 hourly, and you can see that, you know, like we've already spoken about how we dip down below these moving averages because it's volatile, and they're not really being used for the most part as support because Bitcoin is pulling it down each time. What we want to see is the larger term time frames have this kind of setup. So here we see we've got the 10, 21, the 20 simple, that's why it's there. 21 exponential should be above the 20 simple. I know it's confusing, but that's the way it is. That's the way my charts are set up anyway. I like to have exponentials and simple moving averages for obvious, well, I say for obvious reasons. There are reasons. So we've got the 10, 21, 20, 50, 50 simple, 200 exponential, and a 200 simple. That's what you want to see on obviously the 12 hourly and obviously on the daily. We're far away from that on the daily because the 200 exponential is all the way over here at basically almost 1200 sats. But it's a start, and you can see that we're closing now above the cloud, and we've got the moving averages breaking up above the area of support again, which is good. They're also coming up above the cloud. And just as we got the Ichimoku Cloud conversion baseline 4 component cross signal, we are looking to generate one of those. We're only one aspect of that away, which is this Chiku span to close anywhere outside of this cloud. Now, it is a bit much to ask for that to happen, between now and I suppose mid-January, because we've already rallied up 90% from its low. We are kind of overreaching at this kind of stage. Bitcoin is dancing with further downside, just at least in the short term. But if we were to carry on with this for another, well, let's just measure this out. How many periods is it going to take for the break of the cloud? So 6 days to this component, and then it would be 14 days to when it gets to this area here, so about 720 sats. So long as we're above 720 sats, to be honest with you, within the next couple of weeks, which again, we don't really know how this chart is going to behave, due to we don't know how really Bitcoin is going to behave either. I mean, we got the bounce that we were talking about last night. We're in this descending channel, which is technically, a bullish formation for when it is resolved. We can look at this and say, all right, we've got a fix on this in a way. If we were to break out of this naturally and stay in this accumulation zone between about 39,000 and 49,500, and then by now and between now and the 20th of January, again, it's kind of matching up with what we're looking for, the super big push with ICP, really, that kind of sort of 20th of January and so on. If we were to creep out of here sideways, or even just break out of here upwards, that would drive quite a large move. I would expect up towards the 50,000. But for the moment, obviously, a descending channel is going to descend until further notice. But when we break out of here, that would be a breakout more powerful than a triangle of any description. So I prefer these setups. They're more powerful when resolved than any kind of ascending or descending triangle, or even an asymmetrical. All those triangles that you see, forget them. Descending channels, that's where it's at, trust me. But the problem with them is that they are downtrends until they turn around. So we're looking for roughly around 20th of January, the 20-something of January for this apex, I suppose you could call it, because I suppose in a way it is kind of a triangle of its own, because this is a strong area of support. If we do break down below here, at least we've still got this descending trend line of support, which is pretty steep, to be honest with you. I think we are looking to turn around at some point, whether we turn around already at this current low, which is only 40,500, or we come down to revisit this trend line again, and then from there we either hit the top and break, or we hit the top and then go sideways and accumulate within here, and then continue up. So Bitcoin looks okay for putting in a low at some point soon. We expected that bounce last night. That's why I made that video. We had divergences from the 1 to the 2 to the 4 hourly, and they might still be in play. But when it comes to ICP, it's not giving up at all. It really isn't giving up. And like I say, if we get this signal, I would be pretty confident that it will behave the same way that the signal generated this last big push up here, which is generated on the 12 hourly using the same indicator with the same 4 components of the Ichimoku cloud. So looking pretty good. The only concern would be the RSI is quite high. Highest it's ever been on a daily for this chart. Obviously, it's not a very old chart. Money flow index is quite high as well for a Bitcoin pair. It's almost the highest it's ever been, other than this last drive over here. So we are sort of overreaching in the short term, but I wouldn't really be too concerned. And if we think about supports, we had the 12 hourly had some kind of relevance to it. The daily is surfing above and beyond all major moving averages, and it doesn't normally do this for ICP. Most of the time it spends its time going down, but even on the downtrend you can see this very thin line here. This is the 7 simple, right? And this is, I generally only really use this in times of extremes. So we had extreme downtrend, so rejection on it, rejection on it, rejection on it, rejection on it, and now what we're seeing is not that we're getting much of it, but we are getting support on it and support on it. And if we were to come down today, it would bring us all the way down to 750 sats. So that is the main area on the daily to be supported at. 750 sats is where it is today. Let's see what that means for us on the 12 hourly. And the 12 hourly, so that was also the 200 exponential and the 10 exponential. So a lot of strong support around 750, well, just below 745, 743 to 750 sats at the moment. Because we're using moving averages, they move, like I say, in this case every 12 hours, on the daily, every day. So, and they're all in an uptrend, so that means that the supports will move up each day. But yeah, at the moment we're talking roughly about between 740 to 750 sats being the support for the next pullback. So if Bitcoin has another big pullback, I think we'll be revisiting those areas, 740, 750. And if they break down, then we could be coming all the way down to our main area of support. I think that's kind of unlikely, but at the moment we are kind of reaching quite high. A bit of bearish divergence on the 12-hourly RSI there. And what have we got? No bearish divergence on the daily. So yeah, a pullback, is not going to surprise us. And if it were to pull back, we would be talking a pullback of about 13% versus its Bitcoin pair, and then picked up again from there. So opportunity here, I'd say, continued opportunity, and this one does look like it wants to reverse before most other things. Very, very strong looking chart here versus Bitcoin. So yeah, very pleased with myself with this one. It seems to be one of the ones that's redeeming my overall altcoin portfolio, and I kind of wish I'd dollar cost averaged into it even harder than I had. But so far, I mean, I'm significantly in profit even throughout this downtrend, which sounds surprising, but it is the case. Right, I'm going to leave it with you there, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.